we can realign our small existing resources and bring in accountability and change a lot of things on how things are done in county governments. Yes, we have overborrowed as a country. Yes, this Senate became, fought a little bit, got an additional 9 billion, which you could have actually gotten more. I never voted for the division of revenue because I felt like the little money that was given was not enough. When you see a member of the National Assembly clapping hands and saying they have already been allocated an additional 20 million shillings to carry out functions which essentially should be carried out by the county government, then you start questioning whether all of us really understands our role. When I long for the time when we will all become of age to know that Parliament's role is to legislate, but not to implement on projects. When you see members of the National Assembly running around, even county assemblies tomorrow will say they also need a kitty. And these are the things that we've been fighting about. I think we need to think about the future generation. And the time for us to think about the future generation is now. Mr. Speaker, I think my time is over.
Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also rise to support. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, sir, let me start by commending the mediation team for the job well done, for coming to a compromise to increase the money allocated to the county governments. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I would also want to put my voice to the fact that we need more allocation to the county governments. But it must also be alive to everybody that the only way that the government can be able to raise more resources and more revenue is through taxation. Mr. Speaker, sir, it pains to see that money that has been allocated to the county government, some of it is utilized in very inappropriate manner. This year, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Nyeri County will be getting an additional 500 million. It is my prayer, Mr. Speaker, sir, that our governor will ensure that the deteriorating health services in Nyeri County will be improved. I would also, Mr. Speaker, sir, urge all the governors, when they receive their allocation, they should prioritize settling the pending bills because it's continuing to hurt Kenyans and more specifically killing the small entrepreneurs. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is also the high time we start the discussion on how to streamline own source revenue. We indeed were quite impressed to see the governor of Murang'a, and I would want to commend the senator for Murang'a for having worked so closely and in collaboration with this governor to ensure that they hit $1 million back by mark in terms of own source revenue. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is not good enough just to collect resources. It is not good enough just to allocate more resources. It must be ensured that the allocated resources are also used appropriately and to benefit the citizens of this country. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, with our enhanced role and oversight fund, I would want to urge the fellow senators that this is time that we become proactive in ensuring that we arrest situations before we lose the money. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is known to everybody that the senators have been reduced to morticians, where we have just given audited accounts to see the situations as they were. Mr. Speaker, it is important that moving forward, now we play a proactive role in ensuring that the money is not lost, in trying to arrest situations where the leakages have been taking place. Unless we do that, Mr. Speaker, sir, the citizens of this country will continue to complain about heavy taxation because taxation without representation, without seeing the use of that money, Mr. Speaker, will continue burdening Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I sit down, I would want to commend the Senate for the role that they've played, and more importantly, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committees in the bills that they brought before the House. We must, Mr. Speaker, ensure that our feasibility in county governments must be more feasible, we must be more present, so that the role of this House can be felt at
Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, we worked so hard to ensure that our counties get 400 billion, and now we are distributing those monies to our counties. And from this, I can see my county is getting an additional 190 million shillings. I want to urge the governor and his people to prioritize key areas. Number one, ECD, where we have a lot of challenges, even paying salaries. the issues of vocational training centers, many of which are almost collapsing. But we would like to see more money being sent to our counties. And Mr. Speaker, even as the country is going through the debate of how to allocate money, more money to the counties, many are talking about, a few are talking about 1 man, 1 shilling. But I think we need a conversation on how to protect small counties like Vihiga, Elgeyo Marakwet, Lamu, and the others. We need to start thinking of how we'll make these counties productive in our formula. And that is a debate that some of us who are representing those counties, we will be coming up with. But for now, the money that we send to our counties must be used very well. As another senator says, I think as a Senate, we need to be very proactive on oversighting our various counties to ensure that we don't act as morticians, but we are able to oversight the money wherever they are used in our counties. Mr. Speaker, the biggest problem is late disbursement of funds, and I want to agree with the senators who have spoken earlier that this is a problem that we need to deal with as a Senate. Very soon, we will be passing the disbursement schedule, and those schedules, they have clear dates. How I would wish that in that disbursement schedule, we need to state very clearly that whenever there is a delay in disbursing funds to the counties, the Treasury owes us an obligation of full disclosure why there is a delay. Because the situation now, Mr. Speaker, is that when there is a delay, no one talks to us, no one talks to the counties, and they have to keep on waiting perpetually. I think this House deserves to get a disclosure from Treasury whenever there is a delay in disbursing funds to our county. And Mr. Speaker, I'll be moving a motion in that regard, so that when there is a delay, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary.
Senator Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this bill, Mr. Speaker, and my reasons for supporting this bill, Mr. Speaker, I'm excited about the capping or the ceilings for recurrent expenditure, Mr. Speaker, because we have been having issues with counties all over, Mr. Speaker, overspending on recurrent expenditure, Mr. Speaker, and that there is a provision to have this on the second schedule, Mr. Speaker, makes me support this bill, Mr. Speaker. The fact that the resources are going to follow functions, in that every county executive will, in consultation with the national government, determine the cost of the transferred function and have the monies transferred, Mr. Speaker, is something that makes me feel we should support this bill. Mr. Speaker, accountability, especially when a county function has been transferred to a national government. Mr. Speaker, on the section 6, subsection 4, that the national such entity will submit quarterly reports to the Senate, Mr. Speaker, will bring a lot of light to this. And this reminds me of the NMS, Mr. Speaker, and that such bodies will now report to the Senate, Mr. Speaker, makes me feel that we should support this bill. Mr. Speaker, even as we support this allocation to counties, we must also call out the governors and remind them that these monies are public funds and they should be accountable to them. And Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, I think I want to call out the governor for Isiolo, who has been called to the Senate Health Committee 3 times, Mr. Speaker. And as if that was not enough, he was reported, there is a clip going round saying that he will only attend a committee summoned by the Senate when he feels like. Mr. Speaker, this reminded me of the comments that Adan Duale made one time, that hii si pesa ya mama yako. And Mr. Speaker, we must call out the governor for Isiolo, and in fact, indeed every other governor that does not want to account for the funds so disbursed to their counties, Mr. Speaker, because we cannot just fight for them, fight for more resources, and when it comes to accountability, Mr. Speaker, they do not want to account for this. Mr. Speaker, I think I want to stop there, but ask the governors, as they collect also the revenue in the counties, they should also consider the conditions that affect our people in the counties and not raise these charges where not necessary. We applaud, of course, my governor for improving on.
Senator Oburu.